So our group's intervention proposal is going to focus on the need for comprehensive sexual health education to be added to the culture of care curriculum outlined by my student body at Indiana University.
Our key findings are to create and apply a sexual education workshop to promote awareness about the importance of possessing and maintaining a healthy sexual lifestyle habits. Don't Be Silly, Wrap Your Willy meets these needs mainly by encouraging open communication pertaining to condom use, consistent usage of barrier protection, and ensuring adequate educational tools are available for all students at Indiana University Bloomington concerning healthy sexual behavior. Participants will be able to complete the online intervention anywhere, anytime, as long as it's before the deadline for maximum convenience among students at Indiana University Bloomington. The intervention aids in advancing or maintaining current levels of sexual education and leads to increased use of condoms and decreasing incidence and prevalence of STDs. The intervention will strengthen the capacity of sexual health education and resources at Indiana University Bloomington in order to improve sexual behaviors and reproductive well-being amongst the students.
So it's been shown that comprehensive sexual education programs have been shown to be effective in a variety of different situations, such as high school and college populations. Additionally, research also demonstrates that people lacking comprehensive sexual education are more likely to contract a sexually transmitted disease, especially in college, given that Indiana University kind of perpetuates alcohol and drug use in addition to kind of a hookup culture. And the issue of condom use has long been very much generalized, especially on college campuses, which is exactly why we're proposing an intervention for combating an issue like that. So the Culture of Care initiative, which we are going to discuss in great detail throughout the length of this presentation, has currently existing programs in place that address alcohol, drugs, sexual violence, and this is mandatory for incoming freshmen to complete. And it's been generally found that the education programs in place for that have had a very big impact on the rates of sexual assault and alcohol and drug related injuries and deaths. So that's really what we're trying to further in our presentation here.
The trans theoretical model assesses an individual's willingness to adapt and practice a new health belief or practice through a series of progressive steps, which will eventually lead to a habitual adaptation of a healthier behavior. This provides strategies or processes of change that will guide the individual through a set of stages. In relation to our health topic, the first stage of this model begins with pre-contemplation of having partners use condoms during penile and vaginal intercourse, and the final stage will end with the maintenance of condoms being used during every act of intercourse for at least 6 months or longer. The trans theoretical model is best applicable to the health behavior of using condoms during intercourse due to the college-age student population being stuck in the pre-contemplation and contemplation stages of the trans theoretical model. Through the different stages of this model, our goal is to implement an educational program that targets why students have a difficult time maintaining their behavior changes, even if they are action-oriented to wearing condoms during intercourse. The first construct that best applies to our topic is self-efficacy, which relates to the confidence that one feels in using a condom, buying condoms in public, or even buying the correct kind for their needs. The trans theoretical model helps explain where the student population lies in terms of which stage that they're in, so that the next step is to create a survey that will identify why they're in that particular phase. Implementing a condom education workshop and overcoming stigmas associated with buying condoms will help these students progress through each of the trans theoretical model stages. The second construct that best applies to our topic is perceived benefits, which mainly deals with the cost of purchasing condoms. Although the increased risks do not outweigh the perceived benefits among college students, they typically know that common STIs are manageable chronic diseases. These students need further education over the dangers of STIs and that being asymptomatic only increases the incidence among the campus. An educational program could combat the notion that sex feels better without condoms orient students to action and maintenance, and overall help them progress through each stage of the trans theoretical model. This model is especially helpful for evaluating condom use because there are many confounding variables as to why people do not think that condom use is a big deal, and there are also many factors as to why people cannot maintain the practice of using condoms. This paper offers a summary of how measures and models of condom use based on the trans theoretical model have been developed and continued to be refined, offers some preliminary findings with diverse populations, and describes intervention applications of a stage paradigm approach to condom use, adoption, and continuation. The study text groups people from different ethnicities, ages, and genders, and evaluates why people are unable to progress through the stages of the trans theoretical model. It suggests that 40% are found in the pre-contemplation stage, another 40% are found in the contemplation stage, and 20% are currently taking action. Given this information, researchers are trying to see why people do not think that wearing condoms during intercourse is an actual issue. We learned that applying the trans theoretical model helps recognize that assessing an individual's willingness to adapt and practice a new health belief is often not enough, and that once people recognize better health practices and need for change, that there are many factors that lead people to discontinue their actions and adopt old, bad health practices. Our group seeks to strengthen the capacity of sexual health education and resources on the Indiana University campus in order to improve the sexual and reproductive well-being of college students on campus. Our three overall goals is to promote healthy sexual behaviors through education, decrease incidence and prevalence of all STDs, and increase student awareness on accessing quality services to prevent sexually transmitted diseases and their complications. In order to promote healthy sexual behaviors through education, we hope that all Indiana University students are able to register for classes given that they have completed the Culture of Care curriculum. These students will have learned about the incidence and prevalence rates of sexually transmitted diseases as a result of completing the IU Culture of Care programming, and by the end of the 6 weeks, students will be able to list at least 3 reasons that maintaining healthy habits is important to sexual health. In order to decrease incidence and prevalence of all STDs, we hope that throughout the course of the intervention process, students will retain the information on where to receive free condoms, as well as information regarding the importance of protection. Free condoms and informational brochures will be distributed at designated locations across campus, and the numbers of condoms that are distributed will be monitored closely. And upon receiving the information where the free condoms will be distributed, students will be more likely to use this method of barrier protection, given that they do not have to go out and spend money on the condoms. In order to increase student awareness on accessing quality services to prevent sexually transmitted diseases and their complications, we hope that by November 30th, 2016, we will have collected 200 surveys at least from IU students, men and women, ages 18 to 24, and gather qualitative information and input in regards to their knowledge and perception of sexually transmitted diseases on campus. And after receiving information regarding these services provided to students on campus, said students will seek help in these locations if they ever find themselves in a situation where these services may be useful. And our overall outcome is that by the summer of 2017, we hope to increase the percentage from 50 to 60% regarding people who utilize condoms during penile vaginal intercourse on the Indiana University campus.
So we've started to touch on it a little bit, but for our program description, what we're essentially trying to do is build on the existing Culture of Care curriculum from My Student Body. The Culture of Care is really not about meetings or talks or events really, but it's more spreading compassion and building awareness of issues that are plaguing the campus. Such issues include sexual assault prevention, alcohol use, drug abuse, things like that. Everybody might be wondering, where's the programming on safe sex and condom use? Well, the answer to that is that it doesn't exist yet, and that's what we're trying to solve. Incorporating mandatory sexual education program within the currently existing Culture of Care curriculum might help cut down on the incidence rates, prevalence rates of STDs that my group members have already touched on. So the Culture of Care program gives statistics already about sexual partners, sexually transmitted diseases, things like that. They report that 90% of students have had sexual partners in the past, 84% have had vaginal intercourse. Among the students who are engaging in sex, 46% of them stated that their last sexual partner was someone that they were committed to. 46% stated that their last sexual experience was a casual hookup or just a casual encounter. And only 42% reported that they used a condom during their most recent sexual encounter. 26% have been tested for an STI, and 20% have been tested for HIV. So you can see there that those are some statistics that we really need to improve on. So what? Why do these things matter? While the university seems to suggest that there's a problem when they throw statistics at you like this, they don't adequately address or educate students on the matter or in any way propose solutions or things that we can do to improve those statistics. So how can we improve those statistics and better ourselves in the process? By implementing our intervention. The culture of care programming that we would propose would touch on the following points. So encouraging students to talk about sex. They kind of give a good leeway into that already, however, they don't seem to address it. When students talk about sex or are more open about it, they're more likely to use contraception and avoid STIs and avoid pregnancy. Next, being assertive. When you talk with your partner about using a condom, you should be assertive in doing that. Your partner will be more likely to use a condom if you address that. Ignoring a partner's desire to protect against pregnancy or STIs, or even sabotaging a partner's efforts to protect against pregnancy or STIs, like taking off a condom during intercourse, is defined as sexual assault within the culture of care programming. And finally, we want to encourage people to get tested. It's of vital importance to get oneself tested, but also encourage your friends to get tested for STIs too. There's a couple of places on the IU campus, such as the Health Center, the LGBT Support Services Office, that offer HIV testing as well as other STI testing, regardless of your sexual orientation. Being aware that there is a problem on the campus in the first place is the first step to preventing it, and making sure everybody else can stay safe. So that's definitely a crucial point. Another thing to note is that completion of this program is going to be mandatory within college campuses, especially in the university. More intervention and education definitely should be required of students regardless of their major or class or schedule. So we're not really changing anything here. The culture of care programming is already mandatory. Completion is required to register for classes. And incentivizing it in this manner is definitely important, because if people are choosing to come to Indiana University, they obviously want to be able to register for classes. That's pretty important in getting your education. So we're not going to change anything there. If people want to be a part of the university, they're going to complete the program. Additionally, we're going to recommend to the culture of care that we extend this coursework to 7 days as opposed to just 1 day. When you condense it all into a single day, students have to allot a large quantity of time to complete everything, and as a result, the culture of care content becomes kind of redundant. It becomes tedious, and then students are more likely to forget what they learned. So by expanding the condom education curriculum as well as the other components to 7 days, each student will not have to devote multiple hours of their day to complete it, and they'll arguably retain everything a little bit better by reducing the content each day. And then once the coursework is completed at the end of the 7-day period, students will be able to register for their classes per Indiana University's currently existing policy with the culture of care curriculum. So in conclusion, our group recommends providing comprehensive sexuality education in addition to the school's existing programs that touch on sexual assault, alcohol, and drug abuse. And in turn, we believe that it will help diminish the high incidence and prevalence rates that exist for STDs on the Indiana University Bloomington campus. And if this is something that's successful, that success could lead other universities to follow our example. And while it may seem juvenile for a public university to make sexual health courses mandatory, prior research that has been discussed both by my group members and within our paper, it demonstrates that it's a practical solution with the potential to greatly decrease the prevalence of sexually transmitted diseases on campus. So education really is key when it comes to combating issues like this.
Freshmen have to partake in this program in order to get the hold off their record so that they can attend Indiana University Bloomington. So in attending IU is a choice. So if they don't want to participate, then they can't go to IU. And even for upperclassmen, where recruitment's going to be a little bit more difficult because they don't have to take part in the first part of the program anymore, but they do have to take part in the second part and the follow-up survey at the very end of each year. And that's going to be a little bit more difficult to retain, but that's why our program is highly incentivized. And we add incentives just to encourage participation and also, like I said, the upperclassmen involvement. And it highlights the importance of the program because it's more time consuming and not a top pressure. So that's why it needs to be so incentivized, because the top 3 problems IU students are facing are drug use and abuse, alcohol use and abuse, and sexual assault. So this program has a little bit less of a push for it, but would you rather put a fire out after it's already started, or would you stop the fire from even starting? And that's the perspective we're doing for preventative. For retention, like I said, it's not an issue with freshmen, and pre and post surveys will be used to analyze the efficacy of the program. For the first segment, there will be 7 mini quizzes, and if you get a 90% or above on each quiz, you automatically will get a $10 Visa gift card. We did Visa gift cards just so you couldn't spend it on like negative things such as alcohol. You could buy pretty much anything with it, food, clothing, but you just need a 70% to pass the quiz like the other culture of care programs. But if you are one of the ones who got 90% or above on each one, you're automatically entered into a raffle. And 10 people in this raffle will get $150 Visa gift cards, which is pretty cool. And then the second segment will be in the fall during the school year. And again, they'll need to complete this in order to register for spring classes. And it'll consist of a quiz and a survey. And the quiz will be much shorter, but it'll be harder because you need to retain the information. So for this one, if a student gets an 100%, they're entered into a raffle to win one of the 5 gift cards that are worth $200 each. And upperclassmen can win these as well. And this encourages active participation in the retention of information. And a lot of our promotional products will also help retention of information. For the 4 P's, for product, people need to realize and perceive that they have a genuine problem, and the offered product is a good solution. And for our program, education is a product. Tangible goods are products, such as condoms. And then we want people to recognize benefits and change their attitudes towards condom use, healthy sexual behavior, and we want to get them in that maintenance stage, but we know that's hard to get to. The price, what do participants have to give? There's definitely time involved. The first part is decently long. People have 7 days to do it. They can stop it and start at any time, but it's definitely longer than all the other culture care programs. The physical effort of changing behavior, going out and buying condoms, getting in your car, stopping a sexual act to go and get condoms, that's physical effort. Economic, healthcare costs, getting checkups. Condoms aren't cheap, but we're hoping to combat that with the free condoms. Social, you could break norms, and especially you could hurt a relationship, particularly if it's a monogamous one and you haven't been priorly using condoms, because one partner might think that the other partner has not been loyal, and it could cause a fight, breakup, damage the relationship, just because they want to practice healthy sexual behavior, which is quite unfortunate. A place. We're going to put posters not just for freshmen to see them. We're going to place them in a variety of places. And then they're all going to have different statistics too, in order to keep the information differing and exciting. And it'll also offer places where people can go to receive help for any sexual problems. And the intervention occurs at home for maximum convenience. And I say home, but it doesn't necessarily have to be at their home, but anywhere with internet access because it's online. And if somebody doesn't have a computer or internet access, there's free ones at the libraries. There's usually one in pretty close proximity. And behavior occurs mostly freshmen in the dorm rooms and upperclassmen after drinking and at their residence. We are putting condoms in the dorm rooms in order to combat them. Each freshman will get a free condom at the beginning of the year just to anticipate this first sexual encounter that they may have in their dorm room. And the last P is promotion. We want it to be aesthetically pleasing, and we're going to put coral posters all around campus. That was what I was referring to earlier. And there'll be little coral cards with statistics and available resources on them with each free condom in the freshman's dorm room. And condoms are placed at all major hubs in order to increase accessibility for freshmen and non-freshmen, because, like I said earlier, non-freshmen don't really go to dormitories, and you don't go to the health center very often. And just seeing these condoms everywhere will make it more of a social norm and make condom use more just acceptable and normal. And then we also want to be persuasive. And that's where "don't be silly, wrap your willy" comes in. We want it to be fun, catchy, easy to talk about. It's a serious issue into a lighter light. And you can also discuss it with healthcare professionals more easily. And it reduces feelings of discomfort. And then we're going to also offer free condoms as an incentive. This is a very highly incentivized program.
Making comprehensive sexual education and condom use programs available throughout campus is an integral way of preventing STDs, including HIV and AIDS. This, in turn, with condom distribution programs, have been shown to be effective in other generalized populations, including youth and male adults, commercial sex workers, and those who engage in risky sexual activities. There are 4 A's for evaluating Indiana University Culture of Care, sexual education, condom use, education curriculum, and condom distribution program success. The 4 A's are 1, available, 2, adaptable, 3, acceptable, and 4, attitudes. 1, available. Ensure that condoms are available throughout the environment where members of the student populations are found in other outreach networks such as sexual health related classes and courses. There are an estimated 13 available places with free condom distributions on or just outside the Indiana University campus currently. We would like to see that increase to 24 by the end of the next school year. A minimum of 20 locations, and at that time would be considered successful for the purposes of this program. 2, adaptable. Not only provide unrestricted access to the condoms that are available on the Indiana University campus by providing free condoms that are conveniently located in multiple locations. We then are to be sure that students are taking part in the culture of care curriculum consistently and are using the resources available to them, in that they report condom use at least 60% of the time upon engaging in vaginal intercourse, and student self-efficacy in using condoms at least 80% by the end of the next school year. 3, acceptable. Ensure that the norms within the community support the use of the condoms and that the community members are open to by producing products that are popular and supported by opinion leaders in the university and school administrators. Part of gaining ground on this issue may include the emphasis on secondary research, which shows that comprehensive sexual education and providing condoms within a population do not promote sexual activity, but rather make the population safer. 4, attitudes. The IU Culture of Care curriculum applies to the theory of reasoned action. In this case, our proposed intervention and IU students will perform a certain behavior such as using a condom. The Culture of Care edition should educate these incoming students about the incidence and prevalence of STDs and explain why condom maintenance is important for all 4 years at Indiana University. We hope that 60% of the students will report using a condom during their last sexual encounter next school year, post-curriculum, and when compared, only 42% reporting this year, which is our pre-intervention. As a result, we can then determine whether the implementation implementation of the comprehensive sexual education and the condom use programs as outlined and described in the Culture of Care curriculum is an integral way of preventing STDs on the Indiana University Bloomington campus, and then decreasing the incident prevalence rate when compared to the past year.
For this program, there are many potential challenges, but we also have quite a few solutions for these. For the challenges, there's possible programs in every single element of the program, all from development to evaluation, especially because it's, like I mentioned earlier, not one of the top 3 most significant behavioral risks for incoming students. Those are alcohol, illicit and prescription drugs, and sexual violence. And the large budget that we allotted for this program may be deemed unnecessary by some, especially if it's not a pressing program in their eyes. There also may be ethical issues with parents and students due to religious, moral reasons, which would add in difficulty receiving funding, discourage IUs their school of choice, especially because it's mandatory. And there's a very long list of challenges. I'll just name a few. There's low perceived benefits for behavior change among college-age students. There's low perceived need for barrier protection, especially if another form of birth control, such as a pill, is used. Lack of education on the severity, effects, transmission, and prevalence on STDs. People are less educated than you would think. We learned through our research. There's also just personal beliefs that barrier protection decreases pleasure. Students may be uncomfortable discussing it with a partner. And I mentioned earlier how it would be awkward to in a monogamous relationship. It would also, people may feel more uncomfortable with somebody they don't really know in a kind of a more casual relationship. And then also there's the belief that it will kill the heat of the moment. Condoms frequently break, so why buy them? And there's just not many perceived benefits to change behavior. And I stated this earlier too. Is it better to start a fire from starting or to put it out, the one that has already started? And our group definitely believes it is much easier to start a fire from starting. And we want to decrease these high numbers of sexually transmitted disease among college kids. And so we got to think about the potential consequences, cost of children, cost of getting checked for pregnancy and STDs, potentially multiple times, the cost of treating STDs and potential problems stemming from those, which could be lifelong and fatal in some cases, the social cost of STDs, they could ruin a relationship, having to tell every single partner you've been with that you have this could be very awkward. It's just kind of, that would be an uncomfortable social experience. And for those who oppose the program, participation is mandatory. The behavior change is not forced. There's no way we can force you to change your behavior. So if you're really against it, all you get to do is just complete it. And you can possibly win some money from it. So there's really not much of a downfall to it besides just time it takes. Just to inform people who are kind of skeptical about the program, we just inform parents and students on the nature of it. It will just contain statistics on incidence and prevalence, information on the financial cost of unhealthy sexual behavior. The program just encourages communication, self-efficacy, and knowledge. Free condoms are to overcome barriers and encourage safety, and no one is forced to use them, take them. Parents or students are against them. They can give them away. They can throw them away. Everything is fine. We just want to give them that access. And the program does not encourage initiating sexual behavior or promiscuity. But the thing is, 90% of Indiana University Bloomington's student population has had a sexual partner. So this is more concerning parents thinking that this is going to encourage sexual behavior, but 90% of students already have initiated some. And it's just an extension of the Culture of Care program that's mandatory for freshmen. And everyone needs to participate to sign up for classes. And ultimately, if you refuse to participate, attending Indiana University is a choice. So, cost-benefit analysis for that one.
Now we're going to be moving forward to discuss the program budget for all of our expenses. We have also categorized this into 4 perspectives. The first being awareness posters. The second is condoms for incoming freshmen. The third is condoms for distribution for each dormitory. And the fourth being gift card incentives. Note that the bolded numbers are factored into total expenses per year via the PowerPoint, and this would now be the time to where you would use the Excel document that we have provided for you. So our first perspective is awareness posters. We would be distributing 100 total posters throughout Indiana University's campus, and each printed document would roughly cost us about 4 cents. Therefore, 100 total posters at 4 cents a piece, that would be $4 in total. The second is condoms for incoming freshmen. Now, included in your slide is that we have a total of 12,000 incoming freshmen each year, and a bulk box of Dirk's condoms contains about 144 condoms at $37.99 per box, and that is from the Walgreens website that is included in our sources. However, we wish to provide 2 condoms for each incoming freshman, as well as information attached. Therefore, with 12,000 freshmen and 144 condoms, we will then have to buy 84 boxes in total. This would cost us roughly $3,191.16. However, we are hoping to give each student 2 condoms apiece. Therefore, $3,191.16, multiply that by 2, that gives us $6,382.32 for the 12,000 incoming freshmen. Additionally, we would like to provide each freshman with a set of brochures, which will still cost us roughly the 4 cents. So again, you do 12,000 and multiply it by 0.04. That gives us 480. And that would give us a total expense of $6,862.32. And we get that number from the result of the 2 condoms per student, and then add the 480 for the documents. Now, moving forward to our third perspective is the condoms for distribution of each dormitory. There are 16 total dormitories on IU's campus. Therefore, we will still be needing 144 condoms for each box of the $37.99 per box. However, we will also be giving each dormitory 2 boxes, which would give them a total of 4,608 condoms needed to provide on IU's campus. Therefore, we will need 32 boxes of condoms for the total dormitories. Therefore, that gives us 32 boxes in total. And we get that number from the 4,608 condoms needed, and we divide that by 144. Therefore, we get a total expense of $1,215.68 for this division. Now we are moving forward into our gift card incentives. Again, important thing to note is that we have 12,000 incoming freshmen on average. The gift card incentives are broken down into 3 different categories. The first is the number of students scoring a 90% or higher, which we estimate to be roughly 10% of the population, or 1,200 students. Within this group, given students will be given a $10 Visa gift card. Therefore, you multiply 10 by the 10%, or the 1,200, and that will give us a total of $12,000. The second perspective is the students raffled at random if they are 90% or above. We'll be giving 10 selected students the potential to earn a $150 Visa gift card. Therefore, you multiply 150 times 10, and that gives us a total of $1,500. Now, the third division is the students scoring a 100%. 5 students will be randomly selected to receive a $200 gift card. Therefore, you multiply 200 by 5, and that gives us a total of 1,000. Then you add those numbers up, which are the 12,000, the 1,500, and the $1,000 from the 3 categories, and that gives us a total expense of $14,500 for this division. Now, just to summarize all of this up for you, because I know that it was a little bit overwhelming as far as all of the numbers and implications, the awareness posters will cost us $4 in total. The condoms for incoming freshmen will be $6,862.32. The distribution for each dormitory will be $1,215.68. And the gift card incentives will be $14,500, giving us a total expense for the intervention of $22,582. There is a more detailed description of all of this on your Excel sheet.
Hey Megan, it's Spence. I just wanted to take the time on behalf of all of our group members to say how sorry we are for your loss. I know it couldn't have been easy, and we hope you're doing well. We thought you were a fantastic teacher this year. We all took away a lot, and thank you so much if we don't get the chance to tell you in person. I'll talk to you soon.